What's going on, guys? So Kaylee's dad is mad. He is getting fed up with this like all the rest of us, but this is his daughter. And the police are playing games. The police are playing games. I'm all for supporting the police. I always support the police. I understand that these investigations take time. I do get that. I understand completely. But these cops are playing games. Without releasing that information, what is it that they're so worried is going to happen? This is a homicide, a quadruple homicide, where they came in somebody's house in the middle of the night and stabbed them in their beds while they slept, for the most part. At least that's what we're told, right? But we don't know because the police won't give out much information. Now, what are they going to do with that information? Are they trying to play gotcha with the killer? So the killer accidentally knows some information that hasn't been released that he isn't supposed to know? Well, guess what? It's a little too late for that. That stuff works when it's the first couple days, right after the case. But that doesn't work weeks or months into the case. Because information gets leaked. People are going to hear it. At this point, if the killer did come out and accidentally say something that hasn't been released, all he has to say is, oh, well, I heard it online. Now, a lot of people are going to take what I just said right there and say, that's why you shouldn't be talking about the case. That's why you shouldn't be speculating about the case. But that's not how things work. People are going to talk. People are going to speculate. People are going to have ideas of what they think and what they think might have happened and who might have did it. People are going to do that. The proof is in the pudding. Look on YouTube. See all the channels of people doing that. See all the views it gets. You clicked on this thumbnail because you're interested in this case. Bottom line, that's human nature. Stop trying to shame people for it. We don't care. Our brains work. Now, let's get into this.
This was horrific for those roommates that were there as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
This was definitely horrific for those roommates. Absolutely. I mean, who would think otherwise?
The preservation of this crime scene. Witnesses tell me that it may have well been preserved because the phone was passed around between one of the fraternity members and the girls. One of them unfortunately witnessed the death, the body there. Can you confirm that?
We cannot actually.
Those poor roommates come upstairs and find their friends and roommates, housemates, people they live with, people they experience their entire life with every day at this point in time in their lives, are murdered horrifically in their own home. Of course that's traumatic. Of course.
We know nothing about that whole phone call. We've asked. And it's, I mean, I know that a lot of people want to know, but that's just not our agenda. We just are like, somebody called 911, somebody was reported unconscious. We don't really know. I mean, we've heard so many different things and nothing has been clarified or been told to us at all.
I know a lot of people want to say, I think the roommates did it, but you have to think about this. It's possible, okay? Nobody's saying that it's impossible for these other two girls to do it. But number one, you have one weapon. So if the two roommates went up and did it, why would there only be one weapon? You telling me that they wouldn't have took an extra weapon? They wouldn't have both made sure they both had a weapon? Or are you going to tell me that these two girls premeditated this and then went to the store or went online and bought two matching K-bar knives to use and then somehow left, got rid of the evidence, never got seen, no murder weapon has been found, nothing, and then came back and went to bed like nothing had ever happened? Nothing happened. Sleep tight, go to bed, wake up the next afternoon, go upstairs, see what they did, call 911. Is that the story for the roommates? Because that's a stretch. In my mind, that's a stretch. Now, is it possible? Yeah. I mean, anything's possible. People do crazy stuff. There's all kinds of crazy things going on in this world. But I just cannot see that being the case. That doesn't stick out to me, right? That doesn't make sense to me. Maybe it does for you. And if that's your story and that's what you're going with, I guess we'll see when the police finally find out who did it. We're discussing this case because it's important to us, or to me, at least. It's important to me. It has my interest. It has drawn me to it. When I go and I watch things like this, certain cases are going to pique my interest, and I want to help figure it out, or at least try to understand what's going on, what happened, because things don't happen randomly in a vacuum. Things happen because of reasons. People do things for reasons. Now, sometimes those reasons might be unknown to other people or might be just completely personal reasons, but people do things for a reason.
I've been told that there were differences in the way that the victims were killed. Some were more severe than the other.
He's been told that one is more severe than the other. This is in line with what Harsh Reality posted that someone sent him that was supposedly a family member of a coroner.
And this week we heard the target attack walk back and then reverse it back to it being a target attack. What can you tell us about the targeted attack?
They have told us that it was targeted, but they told us they can't tell who. We asked specifically, and they said, we'll try to get that information to you. And they got back to us a day or so later, and they said, we're sorry, we can't give you that information. But then a day later, we saw in the news that it was not targeted, or they think the whole house was targeted.
That being said, the whole targeted, not targeted, the cops don't know it's targeted. They don't know who did it. They can't know that it was targeted. They can take clues that maybe it was targeted if one person is hurt a lot worse than the other, if the scene writes a story for them to be able to tell that this happened or this happened, they believe it was targeted. But none of that is guaranteed. None of that says, yes, for sure, this is targeted. It's not like the killer wrote a note that said, I've been planning to do this, or I wanted to do this, or I specifically did this to you, and I'm not doing it to nobody else. At the end of the day, every crime is targeted at some point when the crime happens, right? If you're walking through Walmart, minding your own business, and a complete stranger walks up and smacks your wife in the back of the head, you're not going to turn around and then not target the person who did it. You're going to target the person who did it. So at some point, every crime is targeted, right? Every crime. But what brought that person into this house? If you can't tell me that, then you can't tell me that this was a targeted attack. Come on now. All you have are context clues. That's it. That doesn't say this was a targeted attack. If you don't have any idea who did it, you don't have any idea to the backstory, then you don't know it's targeted. And the fact that the police would come out and say that, what they're doing is trying to put people at ease, to make students not run away from college and go back home. That's what that was. I don't pay that much attention to the fact that the police said it was targeted and it's not targeted. I try not to focus in on that too much because they don't know. I believe that these crimes happen in the moment. Something like this is not really a planned attack. This is more of a heat of the moment. I'm going to do it. I'm over this. I've had enough. Or I'm going to go in and try one thing. It didn't work, so now I'm going to do this. Kaylee's dad, he's getting a little fed up. We're about to hear from him.
I'll cut to the chase.
Yeah.
Their means of death don't match.
That's a big one. Their means of death don't match. You remember when the coroner was saying that they were all stabbed with a fatal wound, blah, blah, blah? Yeah. Okay. So their means of death don't match. That means one of them could have been throat cut. One of them could have been stabbed in the heart. One of them could have been gutted. We don't know this stuff. Yeah, I know that's gruesome. I'm sorry. But we don't know exactly what it was with those people and with the crimes and how they happened and how the bodies were. We don't know. But now we're finding out that the means of death were not the same. What does that mean? I mean, they were all stabbed, right? But was one of them strangled first? Was one of them dead before they got stabbed? Was somebody cut up post-mortem versus that's what killed them? Others were killed by being stabbed? Or was the stabbing after death for every one of them? Did they all die some other way and then somebody come in and stab them up? We don't know. And it does no good for the cops not to give those answers now. At this point, they can't play gotcha with the killer no more. It's been too long. It's been too long. All kinds of speculation is out there. All kinds of leaks come out. The gotcha with the killer because he knows something he shouldn't have known. That's not going to hold up at this point. I know a lot of you try to say otherwise, but it just won't.
Maddie's and Kaylee's cause of death, it does not match based on the autopsy report.
They don't match.
So the cause of death, based on the autopsy report, doesn't match. The cause of death. What does that mean?
Would indicate that one of them
He doesn't have to
may
go
have
up the
been the
steps. Let's stop playing games, guys. I need somebody to step up and be an alpha. Be somebody to be a leader. Don't make me do it. I don't want to do it.
That's weird. What does he mean by that? He doesn't have to go up the steps? Is he talking about the killer? What is he talking about there? When I first heard this, my mind instantly went to, it doesn't have to go up the steps, right? Like, this doesn't have to escalate to what it is. The cops need to be open. The cops need to give out the information that they have. The cops need to do their jobs, right? Stop trying to play games and do your job. If you put out the information, the people close to the situation will understand the information better, and it may lead you to answers. I know you haven't had a murder in 7 years, so most of the cops, the local cops on this case, are complete rookies to this. This is the first time they've ever had to deal with a homicide, so they don't know what they're doing. And then the older cops, they haven't done it in so long. The world is a different place now. 7 years ago, 2015, was a whole lot different than 2022. 2015 was pre-Trump. It was before social media was nearly as big as it is right now. The world is a different place. It's a different beast since the last time these guys ran a homicide scene. Stop playing games. Your old tricks don't work anymore. Put the information out and let it be disseminated by the public so that we can find answers. Because I guarantee you there's some friends of theirs, some family of theirs, some acquaintances, maybe some professors, that if you put out the information and let us know what's going on, what's really going on, what you know about this case, then people can start putting together, well, hey, this happened and that happened, and they can get you a lot more tips than with you not saying a word and wanting people to just come in off that information alone. The more information you put out, the more opportunity it is for people to make a connection and tip you to who the killer might be. How do you not understand that? How? You're a police officer. You're a detective. Now listen, all we've been hearing from are the local cops from Moscow and the Idaho State Police. But the FBI is on this case. There are federal agents working this case. People who are actual professionals. Real life detectives who's done this before in their jobs. I'm not critiquing those guys. Those guys are behind the scenes. They're investigating. They're looking for answers. They're reporting those answers back up to whoever's ahead of this investigation. Then the head of the investigation is relaying that information to the chief, captain, whatever he is. And then he's making the decision on what we get to know and what we get to hear. The information that comes out leaked, that's when the people on the inside don't agree with the speaker on what he chose to let us know.
He doesn't have to go up the steps. Their points of damage don't match. I'm just going to say it. It wasn't leaked to me. I earned that. I paid for that funeral. I paid for that. It's my right. You ain't taking that from me.
Calm down.
If you don't want to say nothing, that's your bet. But don't say I'm leaking anything. I paid that bill. Sent my daughter to college to get an education. She came back in the box, and I can speak on that.
Damn right, Dad. Damn right. That's your daughter. You sent her there to get an education. She came home in a box. They don't want to give you any answers. How would you feel? How would you feel if your child got murdered and because it's this big public case, the cops won't even tell you what's going on? Why? Because you might tell somebody? That's what I'm talking about. It's time to stop playing games. Like the dad said, somebody needs to step up and be getting answers. Somebody close to that situation needs to go start talking to the friends, the roommates, find out what they're saying on the inside, and then report that back to us. Because if the police aren't going to do their job, somebody's going to have to do it for them. You're not going to catch the killer using 1995 tactics in a 2022 world. You're just not. So stop playing around. Let go. Your way doesn't work. It only makes you look like a fool. We understand these cases are not going to be solved overnight. We get that. That's completely understandable. Nobody believes that it's been too long and now we'll never find the killer. The only people that believe that are the ones that watch First 48 and hear that at the beginning of the thing and don't understand what they're talking about. If it was the first 48 hours might be the best chance to catch the killer. Because at that point, you're going to talk to anybody who might have been a witness, who might have saw it, or you're going to find the videos. If it's got a video for it, you're going to find recordings. You're going to find evidence that can point you directly to a killer immediately within the first 48 hours. And after that first 48 hours, if you haven't already found out who the killer might be, then that's where it starts getting less and less likely that you're going to solve the case. Not because it's going to be too long and time heals all wounds. It's really because all your best chances at solving the case have been spent and are no longer there. So now you got to dig in and actually do the work. And a lot of people don't. A lot of people would rather just move on to the next open and shut thing and say they're working on something when they're not. That's not what I'm saying these cops are doing. But that's where the whole, if you haven't found them by now, you're probably not going to find them thing comes from. And it's a little outdated because, like I said, we're in 2022. People are not really realizing how far technology has come, how far testing has come. People don't understand how these things work. Now, with that being said, I'm going to end it here. Like the video, comment down below, let me know what you think. Subscribe to the channel to see more, and we'll see you later.